friendly neighborhood PhD, and you're listening to the Tye Pod.
Hey, everybody, it's another episode of the Tye Pod, and I'm joined today by Daniela, who is a content creator and a disabled model as well. And I'm definitely looking forward to visiting with you about, your whole experience with, growing up and adapting to disability life and, all the things and some of the taboo subjects around, intimacy, that kind of stuff. So definitely looking forward to getting your thoughts and perspective on many of those things.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so happy that you invited me. When you invited me, I said, "Oh my God, yeah." Yeah, I mean, it's a topic that I really like talking about. I'm happy to share.
Yeah.
And I think that it also serves some kind of like greater good and educational purposes as well. So yeah, it's fun to talk about taboo stuff. So I'm all for it.
It's funny, disability, it feels like there's so many of those taboo things too that come up, and it's like, in the end, like there's still a human connection to it for people that are even able-bodied right now too. Like at some point,
Right.
some of those things are going to catch up.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I feel like, I mean, disability itself is already for some people kind of a taboo and like uncomfortable thing to talk about. And so then I feel like when you add on just like these extra layers of things that are even a little bit taboo for um, non-disabled people to talk about, so then you're kind of putting it all into the mix. I think it can create room for a lot of interesting conversations.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you think, I know we're kind of off topic already a little bit, but do you think that it's possible for society to somehow come to terms with a lot of those things, or is it always just going to be this sort of weird, like gray area?
Oh gosh. I mean, I would hope that, it's it's so hard to say right now because of the current times that we're in, because I feel like we're currently in a period of
going backwards.
Yeah, of regression and a lot of these like social issues that, previously we'd made a lot of progress on. But if I had to speak from a hopeful perspective, I would say, I mean, yeah, of course, I would think that like, I know, as we move more and more into the future, that we would kind of become more open and progressive about, these things. I think unfortunately, like, um, you know, misogyny, ableism, I think that it always is going to be a barrier, I guess you could say. Something that makes it a lot more difficult to talk about things like, like sex and the disabled experience, like very openly. But I think that there is hope that as time goes on that we can kind of break some of those down and it'll become at least more comfortable, I think,
right.
in the future.
I do think that there were strides being made and being open about that kind of thing in other areas, like even mental health, whatever. But like now, it just, I don't know, it feels like such a setback with where things are, and I don't know how long is it going to take to regain that? Like, is it going to be, like 4 years? Maybe we start regaining. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
Hard to say, but I hope.
Right. Yeah. Like cautiously optimistic maybe is the way to approach it. But
I think cautious optimism is the way to go with most things.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But okay, so I guess I should segue back to the icebreaker question I had to start with.
Sure.
But yeah, like I'd like to ask guests kind of about their musical interests when they come on, and like if there's a current song that kind of resonates with like your experience and your story, or if you want to take it back to like an older one, just kind of your your musical taste a little bit.
So my musical taste is a bit all over the place. I have during my life like studied classical music a lot, so I do a lot of classical music listening. But I also listen to like the regular stuff that you would find, on the radio and things. If I had to pick like a song or two right now that I've been kind of enjoying, I recently went to a Renee Rapp concert. I'm not sure if you know who Renee Rapp is.
I don't know.
She's kind of like I would say a little bit more than up and coming. Like she's kind of at a point where I think she is really kind of gaining some traction and popularity. But she's like a young, I would say kind of like her style is kind of like definitely has a mix of influences, but I would say like R&B pop sort
Mm,
of situation.
yeah.
But she has a song called Sometimes that I just got to hear her sing live because I went to a concert. Um, and I think in general, I'm just kind of really into anything that's like really kind of like romantically like kind of angsty.
Mm.
I think that we all like can relate to that on a certain level. Like
Yeah, I
even
do.
if you're in like a happy relationship, like something about like listening to like a sad love song is just always kind
Mm.
of like gets you in the feels. Just
Yeah,
'cause it's
yeah,
relatable. Even if that's not you in the moment. But yeah,
yeah.
she has a song called Sometimes that is kind of just like about being in a situation where you're not really getting like all of somebody.
Yeah.
So like the kind of like main line of the song is like I'm tired of like only getting you sometimes, right? And
That's
so
deep.
yeah, just like very relatable, and I think that it's just a really beautiful melody and really well done.
Mhm.
And then I've also kind of been into some Ariana Grande stuff for the same reason recently.
Yeah,
She has a song called Past Life, which I
that
know,
resonates, just the title.
yeah, yeah. So it's also kind of angsty in that it is kind of like about a breakup essentially,
Yeah.
but it kind of has a little bit more of an empowering angle. Basically just saying like I'm kind of ready to move on and
Mm.
to like I know that I deserve more sort of vibe.
Hmm.
So like I'm leaving you in a past life type of thing.
Yeah.
So like good riddance kind of
Right,
thing.
right. Yeah, almost
Um,
kind of like liberating in a sense with that
right, yeah.
approach.
So it's
Yeah.
like this sad, like melancholy feeling because it's discussing the end of a relationship. But yeah, just like letting someone lose you if you're not like getting everything that you deserve. So
Yeah. No, that really is a good fit. And I feel like, in the disability space, those things are even more
so yeah,
angsty, I guess, in a sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I'm curious too, just a little bit of a side note like that. I don't know if you
Mhm.
followed the whole Taylor Swift new album thing, but there's been a lot of, controversy about the lyrics and being, older, like more fitting what I guess her age and experience, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of been an interesting little debate on social media going on, but I'm curious how you kind of feel about, lyrics kind of following you as you become an adult and start experiencing more, those kind of things.
Right. Yeah, I think I admittedly I'm not like the biggest Swiftie. I'm
Yeah.
not like anti Taylor Swift. It's just not she's not an artist that I've just particularly resonated with very strongly.
Yeah.
There's certain songs of hers that I think are really great.
Hmm.
But I'm not someone that knows like every song off of every album or anything.
Right.
I mean I've definitely seen like a lot of the kind of like discourse around like that like a lot of the lyrics seem like kind of cringe or that she's
Yeah.
like girl you're too old to be like talking about this stuff or it's like it's too petty like drama
Or
or
like
whatever.
you're sharing these like personal things about your, love life that,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean honestly like I do feel like and it's something that I know she's touched on a lot personally like with pretty much like every album release I feel
Mhm.
like and just like the criticism that she's received over her career but I do think she really has a strong point when she says that like like male artists are constantly also talking about their relationship experiences in their
Seriously.
music. And also like often vulgarly talking about their sexual experiences
Oh yeah.
and they don't
Yeah.
really get shit for that.
They
So
should.
yeah, I mean it's just I feel like again, I just feel like you know, oftentimes I do think misogyny and now I think in her case also kind of like some ageist sort of
Yeah.
thinking is kind of, you know, affecting how people are kind of receiving things like
Right.
her lyrics and stuff.
Yeah.
So in that way, I do feel kind of bad, like whatever the opinion is about it being cringy or
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, again, yeah, it's just all like very subjective and
Right. Right. I
yeah, but some
agree.
of it does seem kind of silly. Like if like just let the girl do what she wants to do.
I mean, all you have to do is like censor the music that you're playing. Like you don't have to listen. And there's oftentimes, like like quote unquote clean version or whatever that's edited or
Right.
whatnot, or the kids bop edition maybe.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean,
So
I
I don't
just
know.
I think music is the place where you're gonna hear about people's romantic and sexual experiences
Yeah.
because it is so universally relatable, even if
Mm,
maybe you're from a culture or a background where it's like maybe looked down upon to talk about those things openly. But I'm like, if a grown woman wants to talk about like what's going on between her thighs or whatever,
yeah. Yeah.
referencing one of your lyrics a little bit
Yeah.
there. Um, so be like, just let her. If
Right.
you
I
don't
mean,
like it, don't listen to it.
it is a way to kind of express some things in a different way, maybe that, would be less comfortable, obviously, like just one-on-one talking or something for some people.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah,
like I
exactly.
even look at things like poetry a lot, and like it's not a space I've done a lot, but I've done here and there. I've tried to do some kind of free form stuff, and it's like that's a channel that I feel more comfortable
Yeah.
going to, because I mean you can almost reference things too that other people don't necessarily relate exactly to, but it still speaks to
Right.
them in a way. So yeah, it's kind of
Right.
that whole creativity and sharing and figuring out what way to express yourself is comfortable, I think, is something it shouldn't be necessarily, run down or looked
Right.
poorly on. But I'm sure everybody has their own take on that, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like with like any creative art, whether it's like writing or music or visual arts or like
Yeah,
dance or film, like whatever it might be,
yeah,
um, I mean, it's not whatever, the particular piece or particular artist is not going to be for everybody.
yeah.
And I mean, I think that if someone was for everybody, that
Hmm.
there was like nobody that had something bad to say about you, then I feel like that
Yeah.
would actually be a little bit more questionable.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's a good
so,
point.
and I mean, I think in the case of someone like Taylor Swift, I mean, at least looking at it from a professional perspective, she's obviously doing something right. I mean, she's very highly successful.
Yeah.
So
And
definitely,
sustained success, like
yeah,
over, I don't know, it feels
long
like
period.
25, 30 years now that,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, long period.
yeah,
I think even like another female artist I can think that has received similar criticism maybe about like hypersexuality or like
yeah.
whatever. And I think in particular because she's black is Beyonce. I'm a
Oh,
big
yeah.
Beyonce fan, but she's another one where I say whatever you want about her.
Hmm.
But I mean, just like looking at the history of their career,
Yeah.
I mean, decades and decades, albums and albums of stuff of output. And yeah, and a lot of that music talking about like her relationship with like love and sex
Yeah.
and the good and the bad of all of that. So I think it's a very powerful subject, and that
Yeah.
in combination with any sort of kind of artistic expression, I think is really important. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel that, like, as you being a content creator and everything, like, do you feel that kind of ties into your work as well, that idea?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I I think that kind of on the negative side, or what people often kind of speak about in a
Mhm.
negative way, when it comes to pretty much like any kind of adult content.
Yeah.
Um, it was like, oh, it's just like boobs and butt and this and that. Like, how hard could that be? Or like, what is the value of that?
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, at least for me personally, like, I mean, yeah, like there's some of that going on, but I think I also really enjoy trying to like whatever I'm putting out, whatever content I'm putting out, like making it like well composed, that it kind of tells a story, whether that's through like what I'm wearing or the background or like sometimes with videos I'll put
Yeah.
music or like whatever it may be. Um, there's definitely like an artistic element to it, I feel,
Hmm.
and I think that just in itself the like female form is like a really beautiful thing,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's anything that anybody should be like ashamed of or feel like they have to hide. And there's also like layers with that when you start adding in the disability, um, when you have inhabit a body that is different. And so I think like trying to showcase that in an artistic and and then like in a beautiful way that people can appreciate. I think that yeah, I would definitely say that I apply like a lot of that thinking into like the content that I make. So
yeah, I couldn't help but like thinking, different art forms and expression like that does definitely, content creation and everything, photography and videos, like the aesthetics kind of behind it and everything. I mean, then there's a lot of art elements obviously going into it. So yeah, it's interesting.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to go a little bit more into like your early story and like with diagnosis and your experience and sort of adapting to as you get older, if there's any progression or specifically, how you approach physical challenges that you deal with over the years.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, as far as people with SMA, I have spinal muscular atrophy. I mean, I feel like my kind of like diagnosis story is pretty like along the same vein as a lot of people's.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed like around the age of 2 or a little earlier, maybe a year and a half or so. Um, and primarily, I think initially my parents' concern was kind of like I was actually walking for a good while. But when I did start walking, I kind of had like the duck walk, like the waddle sort of situation. And I was kind of like falling more easily, stuff like that. So initially that was kind of like I think what my parents wanted to get checked out, which eventually did lead to the diagnosis of SMA. Um, but yeah, I mean, SMA is a progressive condition, as I'm sure you know, but maybe not everybody knows. Um, there, however, though, that I have had to do a lot of kind of mind shifting in recent years because for like my young childhood, my teenage years, even like early adult, I just like did not conceive that there would ever be any sort of treatment for SMA. Like I had just kind of accepted like it is what it is.
Just push that to the back burner, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just not something that I had ever even considered would be a thing to happen because there was literally just like nothing happening in terms of treatment. Everything was kind of like, like physical therapy, um, maybe like breathing support, stuff like that, but not like actual treatment for the condition to address,
Exactly.
directly. But yeah, so in recent years, there's been Spinraza, and Evrysdi, and I think the third like gene therapy treatment is called Zolgensma,
Okay.
and which is like probably the least easy to get your hands on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I've been on Spinraza for the last like 5 or almost 6 years now.
Okay.
So I have had to do kind of some mind shifting where, my condition is still progressive. Although I've been very blessed to see some like maintenance and even kind of improvements since I've started Spinraza. Um, so yeah, that's kind of been like a weird thing to kind of try to wrap my head around because I feel like I spent a lot of time, like my whole entire life almost, like trying to just accept, okay, like this is what it is, like it's just gonna get like worse from here type of
Yeah. I
thing.
mean, that's how I approached, the Duchenne diagnosis too. And obviously,
Yeah.
there's nothing really even close to Spinraza, I don't think, on that, that
Right.
diagnosis. And so you're right. It is, even as a child, like I would try to be hopeful and think, oh, well, there might be something someday. But
Right.
then at a certain point, I think it's important to realize too that, it might not necessarily get better, or maybe it will stay stable, but like there's still
Right.
obviously quality of life and things you can, be really good at and enjoy and everything.
Right.
So it's a double-edged sword, I think, of like hoping and waiting out, thinking there will be a treatment, and then once there is, and I don't know, Spinraza, is it more sort of shutting down progression, or does it help you regain any function? Like I don't know, there's data out there really yet on how much it helps.
Right, yeah. So I do think that as far as like the improvements or maintenance that people see, it is very individual. Like I do think kind of like the results of being on Spinraza are very different from individual to individual. My understanding, not being a medical doctor, is essentially that so the mutation that causes SMA is in the SMN1 gene. However, our body has these handy dandy backup SMN proteins or genes. They're called SMN2. So Spinraza essentially is kind of directed at that backup gene, the SMN2. It basically, in order to kind of use those to help build muscle, essentially, like the processes that you would usually undergo under the SMN1. So it's not the same as SMN1, obviously, if that were to be functioning and, you know, not mutated.
Right. Yeah.
But so it's kind of to a lesser degree. However, for a lot of people on the medication, I think the main thing that is really important is really kind of the slowing down of progression. So I guess that's what I mean kind of like by maintenance. Like I think
Right.
at 32 years old, that because I started the drug around like 25 or so, that I'm a lot stronger now than I probably would have been if I hadn't started the drug at 25.
Have there been any negative consequences you noticed from taking that, or what has
For
that
me,
been like?
yeah, I think like with Spinraza specifically, it's kind of an invasive administration procedure because it is administered via lumbar puncture.
Oof. Wow. Yeah.
And that's done, it's done every 4 months. I was like, wait, how many months?
That's frequent.
Yeah, every
Wow.
4 months. So when you kind of combine I mean, lumbar puncture suck regardless, but when you kind of add in, you know, spinal abnormalities like scoliosis in particular, and most of the SMA community, and even like other muscular dystrophy forms, most of us have spinal fusions. So you kind of add in all that. They're usually kind of tricky lumbar punctures. So like for me, for instance, whenever I do any of my lumbar punctures, I actually lay on my side because that's kind of the easiest for me. And it's done under CT guidance. So it's kind of like CT scan to kind of get an idea of
to
what's
make
going
sure
on.
that it's being delivered in the right place.
Yeah, so it's kind of like they literally move the needle little by little. And so it's like move the needle, take an image, move the needle, take an image until they
like, are you
actually get to
seeing
the
the
spinal
screen?
canal.
Like, do you see like what when
So
they're inserting?
it can sometimes depend on the layout of the room that you're in, but in a lot of the spaces I've been, I actually have been able to see the screen of seeing like what's happening. And for my personality, I don't mind seeing what's happening. I would prefer to know than to not know personally.
True.
It is kind of nice seeing it like get the needle get closer, so you kind of have an idea of like, okay, how much longer is this going to go on, type of thing. Because that's the other thing is like if you're doing your lumbar puncture from the side, essentially, then the distance that the needle has to travel is a lot longer. So that part is not fun. Kind of invasive as far as actually getting the medication delivered.
Is there like local like anesthesia or like what? Okay,
yeah,
that might help.
Yeah, it is with lidocaine for sure. They do offer sedation. It's optional. Again, just me personally, I actually prefer to not have the sedation. I like to know what's going on.
I probably would take the sedation.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, like one of the dangers, obviously, with the lumbar puncture for anybody is that, you know, there are nerves that they can't see the nerves even in a CT scan. So they can accidentally hit nerves as they're trying to get to where they need to go. And that can cause like pain to radiate down your legs or like, you know, wherever, and also like locally hurt as well. So I like to be awake and aware, because when I feel that, I know that something's not quite right and they need to adjust the needle.
Oh, okay. So you can give them
Um,
some feedback maybe as they're,
right. Because
yeah,
unfortunately, if they really do hit a nerve, it can kind of cause pain in like the coming days, actually, instead of just like in that moment.
yeah,
So I kind of prefer to correct it in the moment, so I'm not like suffering days
makes sense.
afterward. Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's like, it's a pros and cons to it.
right.
Um, but yeah, so there is local anesthetic, so you're not like fully feeling it, but it is uncomfortable, and you do feel sharp pains occasionally,
Yeah.
and like pressure sort of thing.
I wonder if there would be any risk of paralysis, I guess, potentially if the damage to the nerve or something was
You
bad
know,
enough. But
I honestly don't even know 100% about that.
yeah,
However, I mean, I feel like anytime there's a chance of nerve damage, then I mean, yeah, there's like possibility of like issues with sensation later, or possible like, function of certain movements depending on the nerve. So I mean,
yeah,
yeah, it has some risk to it.
yeah, yeah.
And just, things like having to monitor your kidney function. So like I'm getting blood tests,
So there's a
definitely always
risk
before a
of,
dose. Yeah.
yeah. So there's a risk of, kidney dysfunction, I guess, or I don't know if kidney stones would be something, but it sounds like that's something you have to monitor constantly too, then.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely
Yeah.
something that they try to keep an eye on, as
Yeah.
far as like the kidney function for sure. So far, I've been lucky. I haven't had any issues with kidney function in the like
Knock on wood
several
there.
years. Yeah, that
Yeah.
I've been on it. Because I think unfortunately, if you do start to develop, serious enough kidney issues while being on it, then you have to stop. Um,
Yeah.
so I know that that has happened to some people. But
Yeah.
very fortunate now that there's alternatives like Evrysdi and things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've stuck with Spinraza, mostly just because initially that was the only medication available, but then I do
Yeah.
feel like I've seen um, maintenance and improvement in certain realms. And so
Yeah.
I'm just like not necessarily wanting to change if I don't need to.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah. Just
so
take kind of
yeah,
like level function where you're at, I guess is the main goal with that. Sounds
right.
like. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
How is it
mhm.
like I guess insurance wise we're paying for the procedure? Have you had any kind of challenges like that? I know there's been a few cases I've read about where that's an issue.
Right. So initially, this was again, it's been a little bit of time now since I kind of had that initial fight with the
Yeah.
insurance. Yeah, I mean, especially in the beginning, because it was a new drug,
Yeah.
and because it's so expensive. I mean, unfortunately, I think it comes out to about $125,000 per dose.
Mhm.
So that's not necessarily something insurance companies are wanting to pay for.
Right.
And for a while, I know that one issue that a lot of people were having is that like insurance companies were like demanding improvement basically to continue paying
Mm.
for the drug. And it's like you don't really seem to understand how SMA works because
Right. Right.
just the slowing down of progression, or even like maintenance is a major win.
Yeah.
So I think things have gotten a little bit better as far as getting it approved for at least like in a general sense.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I do remember it took me like a couple of years to kind of figure out the logistics of getting everything covered and finding a hospital because they're not allowed to tell you like what a hospital to go to, and like it's just like
It's
there's
so
only
weird how
specific
you,
dosing sites. Yeah.
yeah, and then how you have to position or write letters or have your
Right.
physicians write letters, that are
Right.
worded in a careful way where it gets
Hmm.
approved, like that's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
not an extra fight that we really need. But I mean,
Right.
like
Yeah.
treatments, wheelchairs, all that stuff is just like a constant battle, I think. And
Oh yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
think obviously Medicare and Medicaid are not perfect. There's a lot of issues there.
that is true.
How yeah. However, I will say I think that uh in regards to a lot of these treatments that
Mm,
sometimes it's a bigger fight with the private insurance companies. At least from the experiences of others that I've seen online and
mhm,
stuff.
mhm.
Um, so, like as a Medicare recipient, I haven't had as many issues with it, but I would be a little nervous if I ever had to, if I was ever in a situation where I had to switch or
Right.
that sort of thing. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel like, I mean, as you know, I just feel like it's always a fight with just like insurance and getting your needs met, and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
in itself feels like a full-time job a lot of the time.
Right. It really does. And I was going to ask you too, as far as like caregivers and hiring them to come in and help you and everything, like how do you approach that with, I don't know if insurance covers that or what your situation is. I know that for me, I've had to do a lot of out of pocket stuff to try
Right.
to find
Yeah.
them, but yeah, what's it been like for you?
Yeah. So, at least for these last several years, I have basically had um HHAs, working in my home via like a Medicaid waiver.
Oh, okay.
And so those are a little different from state to state. When So currently I'm in New York, but
Mhm.
previously I was in I'll just say a less liberal state. And at that time, which now was, maybe 6 years ago or so, um, the the highest amount of hours I was ever able to get, like hours of help per day, it was 8 hours a day for a long time, which is
Uh-huh.
still a lot better than what a lot of people get in other
Right.
states. Eventually they kind of bumped it up to 10, I think, in my last year or two that I
Mhm.
was in that state. Um, in New York is one of these areas where it's a lot easier to get 24/7 care. So I actually do
Mhm.
have
Okay.
24/7 care currently through
That has to make a
a
difference.
Medicaid waiver. Oh yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like like very blessed that I ended up in New York. I originally came here for my school program, and but one of the perks of living here that I did take into account whenever I was thinking about like which offers I was going to accept and things like that is that, yeah, like I do feel like my quality of life has improved like so much since I've been in New York and New York City specifically. Um, I mean, just like for the 24/7 care, which
Mhm.
was like wild to me. That took me a long time to like
That
mentally adjust to.
yeah, I
Because
bet.
I previously, like, my situation previously was that, like, essentially, I got the care whenever I moved away from home. So I was actually like technically on my own outside of, having the HHAs.
Well, that probably
So
felt a bit alarming, I would think.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it was definitely like, and it's one of those things you don't realize until after you're out of that situation. But I
Mhm.
was like very much in survival mode for like most of those years, just because, I mean, for the rest of those hours of the day, like I was like literally fending for myself. So I kind of had it
Yeah.
split up to where I had like two shifts during the day. So I would have some people come in a couple hours in the morning and
Mhm.
a little bit longer evening shift.
So that was an option then to sort of split it up where they could divide the
Yeah,
hours.
I
Yeah.
was able to split it up, and if I couldn't split it up, that wouldn't have worked because
Well, I was gonna
it just
say,
wouldn't
I
have worked.
mean, yeah,
Yeah,
16 hours of,
right. The rest of the
solo.
day.
I don't
Yeah.
even want to know what that would feel like.
Yeah. So I mean, I just like there was
Yeah.
a lot of anxiety during that time. But it was just like what I had to do because it was just very important for me to move away from home and like not being under the care of my family.
Mhm.
It was just something that I really felt like I needed to do for myself. Um, and also, it was just like in pursuit of my education as well. So
Right.
it was definitely like a major sacrifice that it was like a major exchange.
Yeah.
You know, learn, enjoy your independence, learn how to live independently.
And there were
Um,
probably quite a few, frustrations or stress points that
oh yeah, I
showed
mean,
up
yeah,
there.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And honestly, like a lot of fear, because there were a lot of situations that came up, during those years where in the hours where I didn't have anybody, that, like were not good situations. But somehow we're here. So, I'm thankful
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
that.
Well,
But
you're able to fight through those things to
right.
this point. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I felt like it's been my quality of life and just like kind of like mental peace, like peace of mind, like less anxiety.
Yeah.
All that has improved like since I've been here with, getting the care that I need, and that
Yeah.
honestly like a lot more people should have that they don't get just based off of the areas that they live and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just something that it didn't fully kick in, like how stressed out and in survival mode I was until I got up here and I could relax like just a
Then
little
you have the
bit.
hindsight to look back and see.
Right. And I was
Yeah.
just like, oh my God, like how did I do that? But yeah, um it's definitely one of those things where like I often like when I see like my disabled peers around me, like just talking about their fight for like getting enough
Mhm.
home care, especially because like a lot of people like cannot pay at all like out of pocket.
Right.
It's just not an option for
Well,
most
and
people.
then, you know, the payment options as far as Medicaid and everything are different state to state.
Right.
You know, like you were saying, the
Exactly.
conservative states are much more difficult on
Right.
that. So yeah, I just wish there was some level of standardization of care built
Right.
into those programs.
Right. And I think that what a lot of people don't understand about like cuts to Medicaid is like, I mean, yeah, like it sucks and it's going to be really dangerous in a kind of general way. But then
Mhm.
when you start looking at these more specific programs like Medicaid waivers, which, you know, is basically like it is different from state to state, kind of like the
Mhm.
budget that is allocated to that. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a mess. Like there should be like some sort of standardization across you know, across the states.
Yeah. Well, because no
um,
one else is penalized for moving to a different state in that.
right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's definitely one of those things I thought about. Like, you know, I love New York City. Like I don't see myself leaving anytime
Yeah.
soon. But now that I'm here and like I have the 24/7 care and you know, there's public transportation that I can easily like get on and off of a bus. You know, I can take the subway. Like I
Mhm.
never had that freedom previously living in a place that, you know, didn't have you know, again, it's not a perfect system.
Right. Right.
There's a lot of issues with the MTA in New York City, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you know, I did not have that freedom at all previously. Like there were no accessible public transportation options where I was living previously. So I was very
Yeah.
much at the mercy of just like friends and family that I trusted that had the time to like take me places that I need to go if it wasn't within like rolling distance or whatever. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, it just
It's a lot.
it's a
What
lot.
about
Yeah.
like trusting the different,
Mhm.
you know, people that came in to assist you and everything, and like building up, I guess, the comfortability to be able to bring them in, make sure that they're going to be able to do, you know, the things that you need help with the most. And I mean,
Right.
any kind of barriers or difficulties there for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think in general, it's hard to find people that you trust.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Even just like on a basic friendship level, or just somebody you would want to be associated with or have to spend
Much
time around.
less somebody lifting you or cleaning or,
Right.
you know,
Yeah. So then
geez.
it's like, you know, in a lot of ways, there is this initial, you know, time period with any HHA where you're kind of just like trusting a stranger with your life. But I do try to like, I think that one thing that kind of helps me mentally, like not just like freak out about that is it's like we're really trying to like, especially in the beginning, like really like looking at it from a very professional sort of exchange.
Yeah.
You know, is this person showing up on time? Do they have a good attitude? Are they saying or doing things that like make me feel uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Um, are they able to take instruction? Are they physically able to do the tasks that I'm asking them to do? You know, just like so I feel like that helps in the
Hmm.
beginning because if they check off those things, then that's when trust kind of starts to be built.
Yeah.
And I've been like very again, like I feel very blessed that like throughout I've been like living like away from home since I was 18. So I've been doing the HHA thing
Oh, so you
for
have
a
the
while
experience then,
now.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that there's there is a certain amount of there's a point where I think that you kind of develop an intuition as
Mhm.
well as to like who is going to be a good fit and who's not going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
Um, but I also think that there's, you know, something important to, you know, first impressions are super important, and I think they can often be accurate.
Oh, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as far as like the intuition of like if it's a good fit or not. However, I have had some situations where, I said, let me give it a little bit more time. I feel like there's potential there. And like sometimes you are surprised that, sometimes people are just a little awkward in the beginning, or
Yeah.
they have anxiety because like they're basically like, on their first few days of a job. Like, you never know. And people have their
Right.
own things going on.
And it's not, I mean, I don't know what a regular job is, but it's not a typical job for many people, probably, that it would
Right.
take some time to get used to that, I would think.
Right. So, yeah. So I think like in a way it's experience kind of figuring out
Yeah.
like your preferences, like what are your um what's the word I'm looking for? Um I just totally am like blanking on the term that I'm looking for. That's fine.
I feel that.
Like things that are really important to you.
Yeah.
It's like as far as like what you want in somebody that you're going to be working with for several hours out of a
And you do
day.
have to establish like you're essentially the boss of them in that time
Right.
frame too.
Right. Yeah. And it's definitely one of those things where I've been very blessed to end up with some workers where like it really did end up kind of being a little bit more of a friendship as well as kind of
Yeah.
a professional
Well,
situation.
that would be what you would hope for, ideally, I would think, with
Yeah, and I do
most.
think that there's a certain level of that is necessary. Like maybe for some people they wouldn't prioritize that, which I do
Yeah.
understand. But I mean, I think for me, I think it's very important that like, you know, that I don't feel judged, that I'm around
Right.
somebody that has a good attitude, that I feel like, like gets my sense of humor. Like it's just, I think so like in my case, like I'll be around one particular aide for 12 hours.
Hmm.
And then it's the next shift and I'll be around that person for the next 12 hours. So it's not
Yeah.
like even like when you're hanging out with a friend where you can be like, okay, see you later, like after a few
Right.
hours. Like you really
There
are
is a
spending.
budgeted time frame that they're going to be
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
you're with them for extended amounts of time. So like 12 hours times like 3 or 4 shifts in a week, that's more time than a
Yeah.
lot of people spend with some of their friends.
Oh, yeah.
So it's very important to me that I feel comfortable around the person.
Yeah.
And I
Well, I
think
mean,
it's
there's probably even some couples that don't spend,
right.
that
I
amount
know,
of time.
honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a very intimate relationship in some ways because you're
Well, yeah, I
helping
mean,
with
you
all
have
these
to have
intimate tasks. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, like some level of, synchronization, or the energy has to be at least where you can, I think, relate and have a conversation too, and not so
Right.
robotic or something. But
Right. Yeah.
it's rough. Yeah. And like
Yeah.
I think about the two I've had being in a more conservative state.
Hmm.
And, I've had each one out for 1 to 2 visits, and then they would leave or not respond or stop.
Right.
And it was
Yeah.
just like, you know, it feels like a waste of time to even search sometimes for,
Yeah. No,
for
and
options on that.
it's time and energy to train. So
Yeah. Well,
sometimes it
yeah.
feels really like frustrating to spend, however many shifts it might be like training somebody. Because it's like mentally very draining trying to
Oh, yeah.
train
Yeah,
people.
you're right.
And so it sucks like when it doesn't work out because you're like, oh my God, like I have to do this all over
Well,
again.
it takes a lot of energy on your part too. And then,
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
for me, I didn't have a, outside caregiver assistance until like the last 4 or 5 years.
Hmm.
And it's like, you know, already there's those extra anxieties being something I've never done. And then finding caregivers that sort of just ghost out
Oh,
after,
yeah.
a
No,
visit
for
or two.
sure.
It's just like,
Right. Well,
how do
I
I
think
approach this again?
I know. I mean, I think obviously like sometimes it's like a character thing or like
True.
whatever is going on their end.
Yeah.
But also I think that it kind of speaks to unfortunately the kind of environment like built from the healthcare system.
Hmm.
Um like I mean, even just thinking about like since my workers are paid through a Medicaid waiver, and I do use an agency currently, so they're
Hmm.
technically being paid by, paid by the agency. I mean, like for a long time, it's gotten a little bit better, like,
Yeah.
but not much. But I mean, like the pay for these HHAs is like not great.
Yeah.
And you put like, when you think of the fact that like like literally like their life, somebody's life is in their hands.
I know.
And they're doing these jobs that a lot of people don't want to do.
Yeah.
And to be honest, a lot of them are immigrants and people of color. That's another aspect to it.
Right.
And some of that's dependent upon area, I know, but there's just a lot of challenges where it's not really there's not a lot of incentive for them sometimes.
And speaking to that, if there is a job or career that comes open that is different or better pay, obviously, like they might look at a caregiving position as temporary, like a stepping stone until they can find something better. Yeah,
no, 100%. There was a period where, especially because I was living in college towns essentially, where I did have a lot of aides in those areas that were actually also like, they would be a student at the same university that I was going to, which was actually kind of nice in a lot of ways.
I was thinking it would be.
But you know, sometimes they would graduate or it just wouldn't work with their school schedule anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, it's just kind of like a step along the way for them, which is totally understandable.
But it's a lot more of like an adjustment. And I mean, it kind of upends our world when we depend on that kind of care.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, so I'm very grateful for, especially like knowing what I had before versus now.
Right.
Very grateful for it. I think also because I've been doing this for so long that I have seen a lot of like the brokenness of the system, and it affects not just the workers, but then in turn the patients as well.
Yeah.
So that's something that's frustrating to see because it has.
But that's super valuable, like knowledge that you've gained by starting early, like that.
Right.
I mean, I think you figure out your system and the dynamics and who you trust and how soon you trust, all that kind of stuff. Like, as hard as it is, it's almost something that I'm looking back on, like, the sooner the better that you start trying to incorporate that. If you want independence and being able to, I don't know, have your own life in a sense. So
I mean, I get like that was the path that I chose to take, and it wasn't without a lot of sacrifice. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I don't recommend it for everybody.
True.
Like it's something that I felt like I needed to do for me, and I am happy that I did do that. Because like I do feel like a very like independent, capable adult for the most part, if that makes sense. And I don't know that I just like my experiences are kind of what helped get me to this point, as far as like learning how to figure all that out like earlier on. But again, it's like I also understand like it's not easy. And I did have the support of like my family. Like if there was like truly an emergency, I mean, it might require like a plane trip or like a long car ride, which sometimes is not possible. So
but some don't have. I mean, some don't have any of that.
Exactly, like no support system financially.
I can't even imagine.
So I get it. Like it's like I get why for some people it's not feasible, and I also understand why for some people it may not be worth it to them.
True.
Like it's definitely like like my mom was like my primary caregiver for like the longest time, like before I moved out and everything. And there is something that feels very safe about having a family member take care of you. That that they have your best interest at heart.
And I mean, it's not a money exchange. So I mean, they're doing it because they
love you.
Really want
they
to.
love you and they want to. So I mean, there's definitely a perk to that. Like just a sense of security and like kind of,
how did your family handle that though, when you kind of transitioned to becoming more independent? Were there some, I don't know, separation anxiety or something like that?
Oh yeah, I mean definitely separation anxiety. I think on both of our parts. I think something I feel very fortunate about is that both of my parents are the type that they definitely did not like coddle. I feel like I feel like they really wanted me to have that independence, especially because it was something that I wanted, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So I just feel like I was very, like, I've been very lucky to have parents, and especially a mom in particular, that just has like really backed me, like whatever I wanted to do,
Yeah.
and just like trusted me that I was capable and that I would figure it out.
That sort of
Um,
empowered you in that way, which,
yeah, no,
yeah.
for sure. Like I feel like if I had somebody in my ear, like especially a parent, and I unfortunately know that this is the case for some people, like somebody in their ear kind of being like, oh, we're like, how are you going to do this? And like, what if this happens?
Yeah.
What if somebody hurts you? Or like, there's just obviously there's so many things in life that can go wrong.
Many
So,
layers.
yeah. So, but like my parents were just never like that.
Yeah.
There's a story that even my mom kind of retells sometimes when it kind of comes up with other people. When I initially, so I guess I was like 17 at the time. Initially, it was close to high school graduation. So a lot of people would ask, like, oh, so like, what are you doing after graduation? And
Afterwards, yeah.
yeah. And I would say, oh, like, after I graduate, I've been accepted to such and such, program in such and such city. So I'll be like moving, in July or whenever it was.
Yeah.
And actually, so this particular person I'm thinking of in the story, um, it was the parent of another disabled friend that was actually asking the question. And I feel like my answer just like they were literally like you're what? Like that kind of thing.
Never crossed
And
their mind.
yeah, and then they
Yeah.
looked at my mom and they were like, you're letting her do that? And my mom just, I feel like she was also perplexed, but I feel like she just had this great answer. She was basically just like, it's not about me letting her. Like, she decided she wants to do this. Like, I can't,
Yeah.
she said, I can't stop her. And I mean,
That's awesome.
in reality, I mean, physically, yeah, she could if she really wanted to.
Fair point.
Physically, financially, like if she really didn't want me to do it, I mean, as a parent and as a caregiver, she probably could have.
And that, I mean, that speaks even more to, your support system with your mom and everything, that she
right.
approached it that way.
Right. I just feel like
Yeah.
she was just like, this is what she wants to do, and like she's gonna do it. So I can either help or
or imprison you or
yeah,
something.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like, over the years, I feel like her kind of, explaining her mindset about it has like surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I feel like sadly, in particular, like parents of other disabled, like children or adult children, um, which is kind of sad for me to see. Like, I do think that there are obviously always going to be barriers just because of the reality of disability. But I feel like parents sometimes don't realize the own potential of their children.
Right.
Just because I feel like they've been fed kind of like fear and stereotypes and just like kind of being told what their child's life is going to be like.
Right.
And a lot of it is just not true. So I feel like
That
depending
happens a
on
lot too, like
yeah,
what they're exposed to or absorb or,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. I do
Yeah.
feel like unfortunately, like sometimes the parents kind of end up being that their attitude or their actions are kind of to the detriment of their own
Yeah.
disabled child.
Yeah.
In terms of just like them being able to establish their own life and independence and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. So I mean, all that to say, like I definitely get why some people can't or don't do the HHA route, or like they still want that physical caregiving support of like a family member or something.
Yeah.
In some ways it also just wasn't possible for me just because of what I wanted to do, because like I needed to move around for like my different university programs and stuff. So yeah.
Where did you, like, just as far as like, I guess loosely describing your educational experience and
yeah,
the detail that you wanted to, like where did you kind of want to go as far as career wise initially? Like how did you kind of pursue that?
oh yeah, I see. So I think this is safe to say. So my field actually is like in classical music. So like I'm technically a musician, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But I studied music my entire childhood, like privately. and was like in special programs for like middle and high schools where I also studied music. So honestly, like my path was like pretty like I know what I want to do sort of thing. So then I went to an undergrad program for music. Then I went on to get my master's, and so I currently am in New York. Like I ended up in New York City because I'm in a PhD program for a field in music.
Yeah. Well, I was very interested to, know that you were in a PhD program, since, that was recent to my past history too. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But
And
that's,
I
I mean,
mean,
that's like a huge undertaking,
I
like
know.
to
I mean,
do
kudos
that.
to you. Like, I mean, I'm toward the end of a PhD program. And like disabled person to disabled person, like I know I know like the challenges and just like how much
Yeah.
energy, like mentally and physically, quite
It's a
honestly, like
marathon. It really is a marathon.
it's
It goes
hard
like,
when you don't have a disability, I'm sure.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
mean, I just feel like, I mean, yeah, like kudos to us. Like, I mean, a lot of people
And
barely get through 1 degree, able-bodied, you know?
right,
So I
right.
think that it is something to
The percentages
be
are low,
proud
I
of.
think, of, people, and especially in like the anywhere within the muscular dystrophy realm, to be able to, put in that kind of dedication to,
Yeah.
achieve that is, I mean, it's significant for
Yeah.
sure.
I
Yeah.
think and sorry again, I'm not trying to turn into like these negative things. I just
No,
think it's important to talk about. I think there's a reason why you don't see a lot of disabled people in higher education.
good point.
And there's just so many barriers systemically.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Even just the simple thing of like HHAs, like getting help to just like literally live and get out of bed. Like I
Yeah.
would not have been able to like move and go to school if
Well, I mean, you
I
have to
didn't
have
have that.
those foundational, daily living activities taken care of before you can even consider going to
Yeah,
a
before you can even
class or,
exactly. And actually,
yeah.
I think it's important to mention when I first moved away for college for my bachelor's degree, one of the only reasons I was able to do that is I had a one of my best friends from high school. We ended up applying and getting accepted to the
Mm.
same university, and it was also the university that we both wanted to go to.
Oh, nice.
So we kind of organized it to where she actually lived in the dorm room next to me. And so she
Okay.
was able to supply like some of that physical help that I needed throughout the day. Because when I first moved away to college, I had 4 hours of help from
Wow.
as far as like the Medicaid waiver and stuff.
How did you
Um,
navigate that? I mean, that's a lot of hours of,
that's what I mean. Like I just, I know I keep using this word like blessed or like
no,
grateful.
right, right.
I I had my friend that lived next door to me, and she was like, out of the kindness of her heart, was like, yeah, I can help you with like, this and this and this throughout the day. Like, just like call me when you need me.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have that initial like extra bit of help when I first moved away for college, like I'm not really sure what I would have done
You're
exactly.
right. You're exactly right.
So I mean, again, that's what I'm saying. Like, but it shouldn't have to be that way. Like,
There shouldn't, I mean, I always say that it takes like a small village for us to get a PhD, because,
yeah,
all the other things involved with it behind, I mean, besides just studying and doing research or whatever, it's like
right.
you have to have almost everyone in your corner going out of their way to help you. And like my graduate
Yeah,
advisors were that way, like they helped install equipment to make it possible.
right,
And it's just, it shouldn't take that much
right.
to get it. I mean, it's great that we've had that. You're right, being grateful and blessed in that sense. But then, how many more people in the disability community would be able to get the degree they want? I mean,
Right.
it shouldn't have to be such a tiny percentage. I don't
Right.
think.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. But yeah, I just think like when you look at the stats for like not even just higher education, I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, specifically higher education, so since that's what we're talking about. But
Yeah.
when you look at higher education and also like employment stats, like there's a reason why disabled people are so like there's so little of us
Yeah.
in higher education, and why we are disproportionately unemployed even with education,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, a lot to unpack there, but
And that, and again, like there's been backward steps in that
yeah,
area too. So yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. But no, I definitely wanted to shift a little bit into your, thoughts on the whole intimacy with a disability and
Yeah.
that kind of field and everything, and maybe just get your initial thoughts of like what your experience has been like and what your kind of approach is towards, that area of your life, basically.
Yeah. So I was touching on this briefly since I like mentioned it in other places,
Yeah.
but I think that my experience with dating and intimacy is actually like kind of follows the story of a lot of disabled people, which is
Yeah.
that like just kind of because of my own insecurities and maybe also like incorrect assumptions
Mhm.
that potential partners had about disabled people.
Raising my
Um,
invisible hand.
yeah, and just I think, and I mean, part of it was also just kind of being so focused on school.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I always say I didn't really truly start dating like with intentionally
Yeah.
until I moved to New York City, and I feel like it was kind of like a big reset for me. I
Yeah.
was just like, I'm already doing this big thing.
Might as well throw that in too.
Yeah, like I'm literally gonna be like in like one of the largest pools of people that I could possibly be in. Nobody here knows me as of now.
Fresh
So
start. Yeah.
yeah, I can kind of be like exactly do things and be exactly how I want to be. Um, and so I don't know, I just had like a mental shift of just not wanting to kind of delay like happiness, I guess.
Yeah.
And also, I think I had reached a little bit more confident point in life where I was just kind of like, I feel like I have so much to offer and nobody to give it to.
Yeah.
Um, and I was just kind of like, like, fuck it, like I'm just gonna do it, sort of thing. Um, so yeah, I kind of did basically like what a lot of people do. Like I use the dating apps. Um, I think that there
The
is
worst doom scrolling thing that's out
Ugh,
there.
I know. Honestly, dating apps are horrible, but I do think that there are, and I know me and you have talked about this a little bit,
Oh
but like
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that there are certain positive aspects to dating apps, especially for people with disabilities, which is that even for me still, like I don't have like that like overconfidence of like just being able to approach somebody in the street sort of thing.
Yep.
And I'm a little bit traditional. I'm like, I'm a lady, like they should be approaching me anyways.
Good
But
point.
I I think that dating apps can be really helpful because you can kind of people already know your intention off the bat because you're on the dating apps. So
Mhm.
obviously you're looking for dating or intimacy or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And I think that that in itself already addresses kind of the stereotype of like I don't think that people always look at disabled people, especially if you have a visible difference, like a wheelchair
Yeah.
or whatever it might be, and like and think of them automatically think of them as like a sexual option.
Especially if the platform is not dedicated to
Right.
that area. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So yeah, in real life or on like a non-dating app sort of platform or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so I think the apps kind of give that initial message of like this is what I'm looking for or what I'm open
Yeah.
to as a person. And then I think it's also a good opportunity to I personally like I think it's really important like for me as a wheelchair user that I have like several pictures of like full body. You clearly can see the wheelchair and
Mhm.
everything. Um, so that way like if they swipe on you,
Already
they
see that part
yeah,
of
they
it. Yeah.
already saw that. You got that part out of the way, and
Yeah.
obviously you can talk about it more if they choose to bring it up or if you want to bring it up. Um, But yeah, so I feel like it helps to get certain things out of the way. And
Yeah.
you kind of, if they're swiping on you, you know that there was already at least that initial interest. Um,
At
yeah,
least
so
something to go on more than
yeah,
just small talk or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I think that they can be helpful in that regard. And then
Do
also
you
just
have a
the
top?
general,
Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, just like the general, like, meeting people that you wouldn't normally meet thing.
Well, right, right. Like that. Yeah, that's a
Like
tricky part.
not
I'm
your
like,
job, not school,
or even
that
like
sort of thing.
when I got into Instagram, I naively thought like, oh, this is going to be a better option than the dating apps because you
Mm-hmm.
relate or connect over something other than that. But then, I mean, if that's kind of your top priority, though,
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a platform most people are going to be looking for, you know,
Right.
a relationship or something. And so like it's funny
Right.
how
Or then you have to feel it out. Like if you start up a conversation and it's like
yeah,
you're thinking like, oh, like this is a really cute girl and like I'm
yeah.
interested in her, but you know, and then trying to like think like, okay, how can I bring that up? So at least like
And then
on a
you like
dating app,
stalk the pictures to see like, oh, are they, you know, like what is their status instead of like the app
right?
says
Are
it
they
point
single?
blank. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, I mean, definitely debating my existence, but it can be
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah. Do
Um,
you have I don't know, feels like there's a million different apps out there. Do you have
mhm.
like a favorite two or three that have been better for you like overall, or have they all been kind of just hit or miss?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like kind of partially just because they are very popular. I feel like I've mostly used like Bumble and Hinge
Yeah.
in the past, and I mean, again, like neither app is perfect, and kind of all the
Yeah.
dating apps suck in a way. But I guess technically I've had the most success on Bumble as far
Yeah.
as like people, um, whichever way you look at it, either just like first dates or people that like I went on a first date with and then it developed into something more
Hmm.
afterward. Technically, Bumble has kind of been the most successful app for me, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a little bit of an art to kind of curating the dating profile, and especially as a
Definitely.
disabled person. Yeah, because I think there's also kind of a thing about like how much do I say, how little do I
Well, that's what
say.
I was wondering, you know, like
Um,
beyond the pictures you share, like how much
mhm,
detail do you put in the description versus, you know, trying to meet the person and then telling them
right.
more about it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, at least for me personally, I have the photos and then so in my situation for my bio, I basically just mentioned that disability advocacy is something that's
Mm.
really important to me.
Yeah.
And so obviously like between the photos and then I don't feel the need to like announce like am a disabled person or like I have
Yeah.
this and so this and this condition. I don't really feel the need to like get into all that, at least in
Yeah.
the profile. And then I usually just say like a cute little line about like, I'm always open to questions, like
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
sometimes I'll say respectful questions, because that's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
thing. They'll be like, oh well, you said I could ask, but it's like the most vulgar question. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely challenges that I've encountered on the dating
Yeah.
apps. Obviously, there's like trolls that are just gonna say like
Obviously. Yeah.
nasty or like rude stuff. So you kind of have to have a thick skin with that. Um,
Yeah.
although I will say, like, I haven't encountered it as much as like I thought that I might when I initially
Yeah.
started using the apps.
Yeah.
Um, and I think, like anything, I think that rejection is just something that everybody has to be prepared for, if you're dating like any
Yeah.
person. I think that as you know, when you're disabled, of course, there's always kind of like that background insecurity of like,
Hmm.
oh, like maybe they unmatched me because they just decided they couldn't do the wheelchair thing or
Like
like
the
whatever.
overthinking just goes into like overdrive with that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I think you just have to like, I think that sometimes in our kind of little bubble that I think, I think that we almost are thinking about the disability too much.
I
Like, I
agree.
think like it's not always the cause of everything. Like,
Agree.
there's a, like, not to be funny about it, but there's a million different reasons why somebody may not like you.
That's totally fair. I mean,
Either
like
like you or not like
I
you.
always emphasize, you know, like the disability is a big part of who we are, but like obviously there's so much more complexity
Right.
there
Yeah,
that's it
exactly.
could or could not work out
Yeah.
with somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are challenges that I think every person dating faces,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
rejection, maybe not knowing why somebody like unmatched them or decided they ultimately didn't want to continue or like whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And it's just like there are able-bodied people that are, of similar looks to you, similar personality, like whatever it might be, but like they're also
Hmm.
getting rejected. Like I feel like at the end of the day, like it's not just you, like
It's true.
everybody is going through this. It's just kind of the miserable part of
And
uh,
that's why you're saying
being on
too,
the
like
market.
disability can almost take that victim mentality more readily when you feel rejection or you come up against, you know, something where you don't relate to the person or
Right.
whatever, you know, like
Yeah.
that's first on the list always, it seems like.
Right. And a lot of that, again, is I do think it's like that internalized, like, because it's not just like, all like it's the outside world that has these stereotypes or preconceived notions or like, incorrect assumptions about me. But like a lot of times you kind of like absorb those.
Yeah.
At least in my experience, like I do feel like I had to do a lot of like unlearning,
That's a big one. Yeah.
and I feel like that is part of like kind of what helped me to like get a little bit more confidence and at least confident enough to start putting myself out there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Eh,
like I think like with anything, it does take a little bit of a thick skin, like
Yeah.
especially when you have some kind of visible difference. Um, but at the end of the day, I think that there you can take some comfort in knowing that like everybody's kind of going through the same thing as far as the dating stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And how is it, yeah, like in your experience, like overcoming sort of once you get to know someone on the app and start meeting it up and everything, like as that
Hmm.
progresses, like, well, what has your experience been as far as trusting and like going, you know, going to a more intimate, like maybe private setting with them or something like, how
Yeah.
did you kind of deal with that area?
Yeah. So, definitely. So I've had, I feel like sometimes it is kind of like on an individual basis.
Mhm.
However, I would say generally, for me personally, I do feel a little bit more comfortable if I can just like message or like text with the person for
Yeah.
a few days at least, just because, at least like if you don't see any red flags like in the messaging. And then also something that can be really helpful is doing phone calls or video calls before
Yeah.
meeting up in person, just so that way there's a little bit less at stake, like for
Right.
everybody. Like oh, I gotta like shower and I gotta get dressed and I gotta do my makeup and like
It's a
all
lot
that
quicker just
stuff.
to hop on the Zoom call or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so at
Yeah.
least like you can kind of that feels like a little bit safer option sometimes and
Yeah.
physically safer, right? So
Well,
you're not meeting face to face.
yeah.
But I think as a disabled woman, like one of the main things I'm concerned about is like my physical safety. And I think that women in general kind of also, that's something that they have to think about a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, those are things that kind of make me feel better. And then when I do meet up in person, again, like most of the time, it's going to be like me wanting to meet in some sort of public place. So like a restaurant, usually restaurants because I like to be taken out for dinner, but
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if
or
nothing else, you
drinks
got to
or
get that.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, so you're in a public setting, so that also feels a little bit safer.
It's almost
And
like
I
they have to go through like 7 stages of trust or something
It
before.
is a bit of like some stages.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think again, like with experience, you do kind of gain like a little bit of just I think we all kind of have a certain amount of intuition as to if somebody is just safe or not safe. Like, are they going to
Yeah.
cause me physical harm? I've definitely been in situations with men where I was just like, absolutely not. Like, I'm getting all kinds of like heebie-jeebie vibes right now.
Yeah.
And so obviously that is not going to continue.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like there have been, people that, we hit it off immediately and we're like intimate
Yeah.
after first
Yeah.
meeting, like I'm just to be honest. But then there were other times in my life where like maybe if the physical intimacy was like a little bit less of um like a priority in that moment, that then I really did kind of take a little bit more time to kind of make sure I
Yeah.
felt comfortable before like proceeding, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, it is
especially,
very individual. I mean,
yeah,
base what
depends
you
on
would
the person and the
expect.
vibes and everything for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So I don't like to say like there's only one way that I do things. But yeah, and I think in the beginning when I had less sexual experience, I kind of was very like how would I say? Um, I would kind of go through like the bases.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, like we'll do like a little bit of kissing and touching or whatever. Then,
Go back to the
eventually
high school
we'll
day approach. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. For what most people was like the high school approach, but for me
Yeah.
it was like this is still kind of like scaring me and like I don't know, like men scare me and like I don't know what I'm doing,
I
sort of
mean,
thing.
I feel that from the other way too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm sure. And like, yeah, so in the beginning I was kind of very like, let's just go step by step and
Yeah.
kind of like slowly get up to like the main event or whatever. But now I'm just, with more experience, it just kind of depends on the vibes I have with the person, like
Right.
how safe I feel, what I'm willing to do, like how long I wait or don't wait, or
Yeah.
and it just depends also what you're looking for in that season of life.
Because
I
that can
feel like,
shift too, for sure.
oh yeah, I mean, there's definitely been periods where like I was cool with more casual arrangements.
Yeah.
But like right now, like I'm not cool with that. Like that's not what I'm looking for. Like I've done enough
Right.
of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think and again, like that makes me human because like everybody
Exactly.
goes through that. Um, so
And
yeah.
what about like the stigma of
Hmm.
someone with a disability having, you know, the desire and everything for intimate contact and all of that? Like, why do you have you experienced that or seen that out there? Like, what are your thoughts on sort of, I guess, trying to fight against that to some extent?
Right, yeah, yeah. I think that one of the hurdles that and I'm sure like a lot of people with disabilities have faced is for like various reasons, I think that there's just that initial hurdle of like encountering people that
Mm.
are just like shocked that you want intimacy or like that you want to have sex or that you want to date. Like I feel like they're just like, whoa. Like
Why
and
would
you
you
like
ever want that?
you
Yeah.
see their gears like they're like trying to compute like, huh, never
And
thought
then
about that.
I'm sure they're going to like all the details, like how do they, have
Right.
sex
Like,
and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, how does it work?
It's
Da, da,
like
da. Like
same
all
way as
those
anybody else, man.
exactly. Yeah, like all those like questions that for like us and people with a little bit more I don't want to say common sense, but maybe a little bit more open
Awareness.
mind or
Yeah.
awareness. Yeah, that they're like, oh, like obviously, it would
Yeah.
wouldn't be that much different. And I think that's definitely one hurdle. It's just like getting over the like, and for me, like also like kind of like working through or like getting rid of the people that just if you just like can't fathom that I'm a human being that you know wants the same things that you want, like we're probably not going to be compatible.
Yeah, the
And
interaction's not going to go well.
yeah, and like at this stage where like I've been like dating for a while now, it's like I don't really have the time or energy to like try to explain like my humanity to you is like kind of how I look at it now.
Right.
So I think before, and it kind of depends on my mood, but like I just feel like, we don't have like the obligation to educate people. Um,
Good
and
point.
previously I think I was a lot more willing to kind of like sit and explain myself of like, you know,
And it's kind of like
why.
different levels of advocacy in a way, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
if they're going to be receptive to it, that's one thing, but if
Right.
it
Because
just blows their mind.
exactly. Yeah. And honestly, I think like, I would also encounter people where like, I feel like they were less interested in me and they were just kind of more so just like curious about generally like this idea of like disabled people having sex just like blew their mind and they were
Like
kind
a
of just
fantasy thing almost, or
yeah, or they just wanted to get the information from me and I was like okay, I'm done, like I'm done with this conversation, this is not going anywhere. um so yeah, I think you just have to like know how much energy you have for what, but that's definitely a barrier for sure. It's
yeah,
just kind of like getting working through a lot of the population kind of has these like this lack of awareness around the
yeah.
disabled people dating and having sex and all that stuff. Another big one as a woman is like, can you have children?
Oh yeah, that's
Like
always a big one, I bet.
yeah, so and it and sometimes I'll just ask people like sometimes you can just turn it around on them by asking them
Mm,
questions. I'm
hmm.
like, oh, like how often do you ask other women these questions?
That's perfect. Yeah.
And like I feel like sometimes that if they have like a little, they can work through the logic a little bit, they'll be like, "You're right. I don't ever ask these questions." And I'm like, "Right. So why are you asking me?"
So you can see maybe like a tiny light bulb going off in their mind,
Right.
like, oh,
Right. So I
yeah,
mean, yeah, I think depending on the situation, I'm happy to do that, or sometimes I'm not happy to do that.
right.
So then I'll just move on. But yeah, I've also been, I've had like really pleasant experiences. And I will say, like, most of the guys where we kind of ended up being anything to each other, whether it was
Mhm.
like a longer term casual thing or like an actual relationship, it's mostly been with guys who I feel like just like kind of got it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, they honestly like barely asked me any questions
And
about
just
like,
like treat you like a human being,
Like, whoa,
basically. Like,
like as a woman, what do you know? Yeah, so those situations I've always appreciated.
yeah,
I don't think it's always necessary to have a good connection, that it has to be like that from the beginning, because some people might have like questions or curiosities and they truly want to educate themselves and know,
right.
you
Like
know,
if they're willing to grow and learn and
and they
still,
could be really interested in you, and that's why they want to know,
right,
you know. So
exactly.
yeah, I never like shut anything down totally. It does take a little bit to feel somebody out.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. But no, I feel like we could do 2 or 3 episodes on different topics that
Right,
we
yeah,
talked
for
about.
sure.
Um, but no, I definitely appreciate you coming on, and yeah, look forward to maybe visiting again on some topics. But
Yeah, just
um,
let me
if
know. I'm happy
people
to
want,
talk.
yeah, but if people want to like follow you and everything, is the Instagram page kind of where you have them go to see everything
Yeah, for
going
sure.
on? Yeah,
Instagram is a really good way to kind of keep up with me. I guess
yeah.
maybe you have a way that you can share the handle
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
definitely.
And on Instagram, you can see like kind of my the things that Instagram lets me post, but you can kind of get an idea.
There is
Um,
another area that we could spend several episodes of discussing.
yeah. Yeah, you can kind of get a little preview of kind of like what
Mm,
my content creation is, like by just like scrolling through my Instagram.
yeah,
But I also have like a link in bio on my Instagram, and you can see like the platforms that I'm on there. I'm currently on the Playboy platform, and that was
mhm,
kind of where I initially started all of this content. My content creation journey was started on Playboy, and then I'm also on OnlyFans as well. So
yeah.
you can just check me out